today we are going to talk about altars. I love me a good altar. I love me many altars. Like, I love tangible things. And I'm a very like touchy, I just love altars, and altars are like physical representations of different things. So let's talk about what exactly an altar is. So go ahead, grab yourself some tea, get yourself some water, get yourself a snack, whatever it is that you need right now, and let's tap into this video. Okay, so an altar. Altars are designed spaces, often elevated or set apart, where individuals or communities may perform religious, spiritual, or ceremonial rituals. Altars are present in various cultures, religions, and spiritual traditions around the world, and their forms and purposes can vary widely. So here are some key aspects around altars. So they can be used as a sacred space. They can be for symbolic objects, ritual ceremonies, connection to deities, personal and communal use for your ancestors, energy and intention, cultural and religious, nature and earth, and just evolution within spirituality, especially what is considered modern spirituality now. All right, so yes, let's get into altars. So I love me a good altar. Like in my house right now, I probably have anywhere from 4 to 5 altars. Some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger, some stay up all year long. And that's usually for whatever, if I have an intention, I have a certain energy or archetype that I'm trying to strongly connect to, because maybe it doesn't show up strong for me within, my living soul profile report, or within any other system that I may practice with. I may want to be able to tap into that energy and cultivate that energy within myself more. So I will create an altar. I will even create altars for energies that I am like this with, right? Because there's always more cultivation, there's always more growth and more work to be had in different areas, right? Even the ones where you feel like you have it down pat. So I love a good altar, okay? So what I have here, so we're going to talk about some benefits of altars. I want to talk about some different altars that you can have. I did mention some things a minute ago. So, like for example, myself, I keep an ancestor altar up all the time. That is one of the altars that I keep up at all times, because I'm so strongly connected to my ancestors, and my ancestors literally guide me like no one's business. Like, we are like this, okay? And I strongly believe that me and my ancestors are so tightly knit because of the care and the attention and the offerings that I give my ancestors when it comes to my altar. Now, when we talk about an ancestor altar, for example, you may have a picture of a deceased loved one on your ancestor altar. One thing that you want to make sure, if you are new into altars, or if you have been into the altar, you've always practiced and worked with altars, specifically an ancestor altar, you should never have anyone living. Anyone that's living, there should never be a person that is alive today on your ancestor altar. The ancestor altar are for energies and people that have transitioned, and you definitely do not want yourself on your ancestor altar, okay? That is not what you want to do. So ancestor altars, you will have pictures of, family members, loved ones, friends that have transitioned. And so when I first created an ancestor altar, it kind of happened, and then I later realized that I had created it. It was very interesting, right? So it's almost like I had went into like a trance state and created this altar. And it's interesting because the altar literally started out with just 1 or 2 items, I believe. And from there, okay, sorry about that. So like I was saying, my ancestor altar started out very, very small, and it wasn't until later on, I think maybe later on that day, I realized that I had created an altar. And it was, like I said, it was super small, but that's when it dawned on me that I had received the download and the guidance to do what I had done, right? And from there, now my ancestor altar is a thing. Like, it has many items on it. I feed my ancestors. They get a fresh cup of coffee every morning. But these are things that I have intuited along the way. And that's how you cultivate a relationship with your ancestors, right? You are open to receive what they are telling you and what they are guiding you to and from and stuff like that. So the ancestor altar, I absolutely love my ancestor altar. And one of the things that I love the most is I love feeding them. Like, they will get full meals. Like, it is one of the best feelings ever, because I feel them with me throughout my day. I speak to them. I have pictures of loved ones that I never even met, but I knew to put them on my altar, you know? They guide me. For example, like my father transitioned, 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago. And I know that he's with me now. He wasn't with me when he first transitioned. That's a whole nother topic and conversation. But I would love to dive into that one day, and what happens to some souls once they transition. I strongly believe that there is an adjustment period that can happen for some souls. So it took a while before I actually started to feel my father's presence around me, right? So that's the ancestor altar. Like, absolutely beautiful. If you are deciding or wanting or feeling called to create an ancestor altar, just take your time. Take your time. If you have, the vision already, go with what you have. If you don't really have a huge vision right now, and you just I need to put some peppermints, or I need to put, a cup of coffee out, and you set intention as to why you're doing that, like, things will start to come to you. Once you allow yourself to be open to that realm, you set intention, you say what you need, you say what you want, I promise you, it's just going to unfold very beautifully. And one thing I would also say when dealing with your ancestors, there is a wide realm. Like, the spiritual realm it contains everything, right? The good, the bad, and the in-between. Spirit doesn't judge itself. So when you are calling on your ancestors, you need to make sure that you're clear about calling on the highest vibrational of your ancestors, okay? That's very important. Make sure you call on the highest vibrational aspects of your ancestors, okay? So next we have deity altars. So like I mentioned earlier, I believe, so we have the Living Soul Profile system, or the Living Soul Guidance System, and there are archetypes within there. So like, there are systems that you can follow, and I am very, very much following the Living Soul Guidance System, but there are other systems that I follow as well. And as you may know, I am a Living Soul Profiler, so I am very much engaged in that system. So with a system like that, you have these archetypes, you have these energies, right? You can set altars up for these energies, okay? So say I have a 2, a 5, a 7, and a 9 within my Living Soul Profile report. Well, the archetypes go from 1 to 9. I'm missing 5 other archetypes. What if I want to cultivate myself in an archetype that's not showing up prevalent in my report? I can build an altar, set intention to cultivate and call that archetype, that energy into my life to support me in whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish or whatever goal that I'm trying to achieve, right? So yes, deity altars, you can do that as well. There is a system that I follow, and they follow the African deities. And so I will have some different altars set up based off of Yamoya or, Oya or something like that, Chango. Depending on what energies I want to tap into, I understand that all energies are available to me at all times. And so I have free will, right? You have free will, and we can tap into what we want to tap into at any given time. Only thing that I recommend is when you are creating these altars, you have to set your intention, because that's what makes it powerful. Powerful is you setting your intention, okay? It's you feeding your energy in and receiving what you need back from that. So set your intention. Set your intention and make sure that you are asking for the highest vibrational energies to come in and support you. That's what I would highly recommend. So, and then, okay, the next altar that I want to talk about is the altar that I have for myself. So you can set up altars for yourself, y'all. This one right here, this one is like, it's up there. Like, I want to say the altar for myself, I would say it trumps my ancestral altar, because I am source, right? You are source. As a woman that is navigating her life, as a man that's navigating his life, if you aren't good, if you aren't solid, if you are not planted on solid foundation, solid ground, what else? I mean, if you ain't here, what we doing, So it's like a queen in her queendom. If the queen ain't good, what's happening in the queendom, If the empress ain't good, what's happening in the empire? If the empress is not your altar for yourself is hands down, I would say one of the first ones you need to set up. And the way that I'd recommend setting up an altar for yourself is you set up that altar based on the versions of yourself that you aspire to be, right? Because we are evolving souls, we're evolving people, humans. So when you set up an altar, say you consider yourself a queen, you set up your queen altar, right? You may put a beautiful picture of yourself. You may even go get a photo shoot done. You may get someone to paint you. You may, at one point on social media, there was someone creating like AI pictures, and you would send them a picture of yourself, and then you would choose which style you wanted. Were you looking for like a warrior princess? Were you looking for a queen image? And they would transition the picture you sent them into whatever type of image you wanted it to be. So there's so many ways that you can tap in to your altar. So put a picture of yourself on there. I know of a lady who had someone make her a handmade crown, and she had that crown on, and she had on a beautiful dress, and she had her wand like worked it over. Okay, beautiful photos. She decided to put that on her personal altar. So your personal altar is it's an opportunity for you to infuse a space, right? A sacred, separate space with your energy, your essence. But with that, you're also applying greater versions of yourself, right? So if you see yourself as a queen and you're running your queendom and you have these amazing people around you that support you, love you, and show up for you, and you're successful and you know how to speak multiple languages, and you're putting those sorts of things on your altar, okay? You're putting those sorts of things on your altar. Self-altars are amazing gifts that you can give yourself. I absolutely love it. So, and you refresh them as you go along, right? One of the things that I have come to learn is you can put like a clear bowl or a crystal bowl, and you put some water in that. That brings life to your altar, right? No matter what altar it is that you're using, water will bring life to your altar. Now, because water is living, right? So water is life. So play around with it. Tap it. It's a beautiful way to, really enhance your intuition, to really hear how spirit speaks to you. And because spirit is always speaking to us in all kinds of ways, all day long, all night long, we are never not able to receive. We usually are the ones that are in our own way of the receiving of guidance and understanding. So spirit is always available to us because we are expressions of spirit, right? So I want to kind of talk about some of the benefits of altars. So here I have manifestation. Yes, so you can set an altar for a specific manifestation that you want to see come to fruition. If you want to purchase a home, set up an altar that is about you purchasing that home. You may have a picture of the beautiful home that you want. You may have pictures of different furniture that you want in that home. You may be out and about and you see a candle or the fragrance or something that you would want to have in that home, and you put that item on your altar, right? Altars are great for manifestation. Also for healing. I have in the past, when I was doing some work with my inner child, I had an altar for my little girl, and I had a picture of my little girl on that altar, and I worked with her because if you know me, and if you're here and you're still vibing with me, I'm about the work. Like, I'm not here to play. We're going to get some work done, okay? And so when I was doing some inner child work, I literally set up an altar for myself, and it was for my little girl. And I still have that picture of her. She still sits beside my bed because I have to talk to her sometimes and let her know, like, I got this. Like, just sit in the back seat and chill. Like, I got you. We got these things. Like, we've acquired some amazing things along the way. Just chill out, little Amber. I got you. So, healing, ceremonies and rituals. So you can go into a ceremony. You can create a ritual with your altar. You can meditate in front of your altar. I have giving offerings, right? I have worked with different altars, and they love offerings. Like my ancestors, they get a cup of hot coffee every single morning. I don't even really drink coffee, but I know that that's what my ancestors want because they told me that. Offerings, like I said, I will feed my ancestors. I remember one day my ancestors said they wanted some fried chicken with some mashed potatoes and green beans and corn. And I went and got them that. And they had a whole meal just there on the altar. Like, you can give offerings. If you're working with deities, understand what deity you're working with, and you give offerings to that. And this is not something that you play around with either, because the spiritual realm is not a joke. Like, it's real, right? And I don't say that to scare you, but when you're giving these offerings and you're asking for things back, like, that's not to be played with. That is to be that's sacred. It's sacred, and it is something that should be taken with a lot of responsibility, a lot of honor, and seriousness, and love as well. Love. So offerings, your altars, and whatever it is that you're doing, offerings. You want that house, put some offerings on that altar. Sit in front of that altar and meditate and visualize what it feels like to be in your new home. Visualize what it feels like to have the money in the bank to go look and purchase a home. Sit in front of that altar. Infuse your essence into that altar. Next you have, and it encourages gratitude. So having an altar, you definitely find yourself in gratitude because things are going to happen. Like, that's the point of it. So you're setting your intentions, you're giving your offerings, you're taking care of it, you're keeping it fresh, you're keeping it right, you're keeping it tight. Things are going to start to happen. And so a part of the work is you need to go back and say thank you. So the offerings are a thank you. The offerings are, here, this is what I'm giving you, but it's also thank you for being here with me. But also sit in front of your altar and just say thank you. If you're doing work with your inner child and you have an altar set up for your little girl, sit in front of that, or your little boy, sit in front of that and say thank you. Thank you for getting us this far. Just expressions of gratitude go so far. And if you know anything about the law of attraction, gratitude is powerful. Thanking something before you actually can physically see it or feel it, you can create the feeling. Give gratitude for that. Let's see here. Then we have, it's a great way to have a focal point for spiritual practices. So that's kind of like manifestation. It gives you something to focus on, right? So if you want to buy a new car, or you're wanting to tap into some spiritual gifts, whatever it is that you desire, right? You can create an altar for that, and it gives you a focal point. So even when you're not sitting in front of it, even when you're not putting offerings on it, when you walk past that altar, you remember, well, you know what that's there for. So it's a focal point, even if it's a quick one, right? Even if you're on your way out the door and you have a little altar, right? That's another thing, is you can have like a larger altar, or like one that has, that's bigger in one area of your house. But if it's an energy or an intention or something that you're really, really focused on and pouring your energy and building momentum behind, I would recommend even setting up a smaller altar somewhere else in your house that you frequent a lot. So if you're in the kitchen a lot because you cook, maybe have a little altar for whatever it is that you're focusing on in your kitchen. It's a little one, and it just may be a candle with an item, or it may just be whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a full-blown, spread or shrine or something like that. It can just be something little, but it's a focal point. It's a way to remind yourself and keep that energy, in you, keep your essence on it. Next is cultivating mindfulness. That kind of goes back to the focal point. It keeps you mindful of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, what energies you're trying to tap into, what parts of yourself are you trying to cultivate, what parts of yourself are you trying to integrate. It's a great way to remain mindful. Express devotion. Yes, you're devoted to this altar. There's a sense of devotion. You're giving the offerings, you're meditating in front of it. It's your focal point. You may have a couple of altars for the same thing. It's a sense of devotion. And the last one we kind of spoke about, that was it enhances your meditation. So yeah, you can sit in front of that altar and literally tap in, right? Altars are amazing. I received the download to talk about altars because I work with altars so often, and I see the benefit of it in my life. And I just felt that this channel is the perfect space and place for us to talk about these sorts of things. So drop down in the comments below if you have any questions, or if you just have any, comments. I would love to hear about them. Good vibes only. And yeah, let me know if this video resonated with you. Let me know if you have altars. Throw out maybe some of the different ideas as to, how you set up your altars, maybe some of the altars that you do have and have worked with. Just all things altars, right? So that is what I have for you. Thank you so much for tapping in and vibing out with me and my energy. My name is Amber, and I am the Empress here at Empress Expressions. Thank you so much for being here. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe if you like the vibe here. And remember, get your Living Soul profile report. The link is in the description box below. I will put a video in at the end. I will put a video at the end of this video where you can learn more about the Living Soul profile or the Living Soul guidance system. I will vibe out with you later. Have a great rest of your day, evening, or night. And until next time, I send you peace, I send you light, and I send you love. Bye.